Welcome, fans, to episode 3 of Headed to Headbangers Ball. My name is Jack Kilby, No Gamest Guy on the socials, and today I'm very pleased to have on a man who is a former WWE Tag Team Champion, a man who really set the bar again for his genre in terms of tag team wrestling, but he's also going to be there, appropriately enough, given the title of the event, to Headbangers Ball on December the 6th at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch, Savona, New York. It's going to be a huge, huge deal with this man in action for Flex Wrestling, Headbanger Thrasher. Thanks for coming on today, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me. And you forgot one thing, former NWA World Tag Team Champs. That's right. The ones that beat Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express. So let's not forget that.
No, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that. That's one of the questions that I have for you, considering that the legendary Ricky Morton is going to be on the show December 6th. I guess we'll just jump ahead a little bit, but what was it like facing the Rock and Roll Express in 98, beating them for those very prestigious belts? And are you amazed at Mr. Morton's career longevity?
So it's funny, we've met Ricky and Robert back in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I want to say 1993, 94, 95-ish. Right before Smoky Mountain, went under and stuff like that. So Ricky and Robert were always the two that really helped us out when we first got to Smoky Mountain and stuff like that. We became really close, good friends. Then, part of the when Smoky closed, Cornette got a lot of his guys placed up in WWE as part-time talent. So we were up there and we did our thing and we came in as the Headbangers. They loved it. Signed full time. Ricky and Robert came in with the whole NWA takeover, and we were just begging to work with them. Just because working with Ricky and Robert's a night off. Any day you work with them. Two great guys. I can't believe Ricky's, as you said, longevity. He knows how to get the most out of a little bit. Not saying that's what he does in the ring anymore, but he's not they're not the Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson of 2000 or 1980 or 19 whatever. So for him to still be in there and doing what he does and everything else, God bless him. I love them two guys a lot. A lot of respect.
Have you had an opportunity yet to look at the work of his son, Kerry, a man who's also going to be on the show and really making a name for himself apart from his family legacy?
Well, actually, when we went back to NWA for a pay-per-view, it was a couple Halloweens ago, and we actually worked his son and his tag team partner at the time. Really great. Good talent. He's got a good bloodline. So, I can see him going, any which way he wants to go. If he wants to, pursue it, he was still in college when we actually met him and stuff like that. So he's finishing up college. So he does have, a college degree and everything. So he's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got a great mentor in his dad. So, he can, I can see him going as far as he wants to go in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very much looking forward to seeing him in action too. Since you mentioned Cornette and Smoky Mountain, one of the many fan questions that I received to ask you specifically referred to your working for Cornette and Smoky Mountain experience in general, because I know that was a benchmark moment in your career.
So I've known Jimmy for years because when I first started at Larry Sharp's Monster Factory in New Jersey, we had a lot of upper talent like, Jim Cornette, Jerry Lawler, Abdullah the Butcher, you know, um, SD Jones would come in, Johnny Rods would come in, and these are all, back then were big names in the business and still is to this day. So I've known Jimmy for years, and he always told me, just like um, Lawler said, whenever you want to come down to the territory, just give me a call, let me know. I'll make room for you. You can come in, do your thing, stuff like that. And that's, working 4, 5, 6 days a week. I never wanted to do that by myself. Um, it was a scary thing because you're going down there, you know what you're getting into. You're making $40 a night, if that. Um, so once Chaz came into the school and we got together and paired up and we started doing the spiders, I called up Lawler, went down, we did our stint in USWA. Once we were done there, we went over to Arkansas, did our stint with Burt Prentice and Ozark Mountain Wrestling. And then once we did that, we called Cornette because we knew Cornette had an in with, WWE at the time. So we called him and asked him, hey, do you have a spot for us and everything else? And he was like, as a matter of fact, give me a couple days. I don't like the mask. He didn't like the spiders. Um, because the whole purpose in selling is facial stuff. So when you wear a mask, you really don't have that facial sell. So he goes, let me see if I can come up with something and everything else. And this is at the same time when the gangsters were being phased out of Smoky Mountain. Um, so that's how all that came to be. And, just being friends with Cornette for, 30 plus years, the thing that people don't understand with Cornette, if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask him the question because whether you agree with his answer or not, he's going to tell you his opinion on it. And, frankly, we may not agree with all of his opinions, but the guy's been in the business for a long time. For a long time. He's seen it, he's been there, he's done it. I see people get upset and they're like, oh, Cornette, and all it's just you got to take it. It's his opinion. Everybody has a right to it. So
Mm-hmm. And as you said, man, he's got the credentials to back it up.
yeah.
One of our live fans is asking a question about thoughts on Viscera and Crash Holly, Mike Lockwood passing away. Any memories of them as they were, such a big part of entertaining part of the company during your tenure too.
So Viscera, when I was going through my knee issues and Chaz was doing the beaver cleavage gimmick, Viscera was also down in, I guess it was, at that time it was USWA or it was WWE's farm thing at the time, way back when. Um, I forget what it was called, but he was down there, getting back in ring shape and everything else like that. So I did a lot of stuff with Visceral. The only time I ever had an issue with with Nelson was when I went up and did jobs when I first started in the business. Um, you know, when they first got to WWE, they were, a little green and stuff like that. Didn't really know much of the business, but they were superstars. He picked me up one time by my singlet like this, and that's just something, in the business you don't mess with somebody else's gear. It ripped and everything else, so it was just that was the only thing I ever had an issue with. I never had a problem with him in the ring with being stiff or stiffing me or anything else like that. And a guy his size, you would expect stuff like that. Um, but never had any kind of issues. Always had a place in my heart for Nelson. Just a great guy. Um, give you the shirt off his back. The same thing with the passing of Mo recently. You know, same way. We did some stuff for him down with his federation and promotion down. where he had it a couple times. Me and Chaz went down, and he was always so nice and so kind and everything else. And it's just it's sad to see that, but with them both passing and everything at such young ages. Um, Especially Crash Holly. Crash. The thing that comes to everybody's mind when you mention Crash Holly and the Headbangers is the what was it? It was not Chuck E. Cheese. It was USA or the thing that we did for the title. Um, a Fun Time USA. When we did the Fun Time USA, that was actually so much fun to do. It was a one take, and that was it. We did a walkthrough. We like walked through everything, and we looked at everything and everything, and we said, well, let's just do it. The whole thing with going down the slide with the camera guy going behind Crash was all improv at the last minute. He was like, "How am I going to get down there so fast?" We're like, "Slide down with him." So that was just all on a cuff, and it was so much fun to do, and it's so much um, a privilege, I guess you could say, to still be remembered for different things, especially that. I mean, that was just so much fun when we did that with
Mhm.
Crash.
Mhm. Yeah, gone way too soon. You know,
Yeah, all of them.
you big time. You really, the Headbangers really seem to be always have a good spot in the company. And in terms of that era, it seemed that Vince had somewhat gotten I don't want to say sour, but wasn't prioritizing tag teams the way that he did in a generation before you. When you came into the WWF, how were you met by Vince, and what was the pitch or the spot that they had put over for you before or when you came in?
So for me and Chaz, we've been going up to WWE since our first couple months in training. Chaz's very first professional wrestling match was in a WWE ring, doing jobs and stuff like that. So I started in 1991, so I was going up there, the summer of 91 and doing jobs and stuff like that. So they always knew us. It was just a matter of, catching fire with a gimmick. That was us. Nothing was really given to us because, like I said before, we came in as part timers. So that was at the time where they wanted to get away from the job matches and the squash matches and have more competitive matches on TV to, you know, enhance the superstars even more with them beating other, people that could actually win. Um, so once we did that and we had our part-time contract, which was a sweet contract, it was TV only, um, unless it was, asked upon and stuff like that to do house shows. Um, it was really, we caught fire. Um, what it was is we had a very big following, and they started wanting to make merchandise and all this other stuff to, you know, to capture that. So the merchandise wasn't in our part-time contracts. So we just wanted them to write the merchandise into the part-time
Mm.
contracts because they were so good. I mean, they covered everything from airfare to hotel stay to car rental to everything. And then we were getting, I think it was like $1,000 every TV. So it was good. We didn't have to take the TV draw or anything else like that. Um, so that's how the full time contracts came about. It was that they couldn't write it into the part time deal, so they just said, "All right, we'll just sign you guys full time for 3 years, whatever." So
Cool. A fan is asking about the Sisters of Love or Flying Nuns deal with the outfits and talking about. I guess it's fair to characterize it as an unconventional or bizarre angle. How did that come together, and how were the how did the rest of the locker room respond to that?
So it was funny. This is one of the times that we were on TV, we were doing the part time stuff, we were doing the headbangers and stuff like that, and Vince really liked it. Shane was a huge metalhead. He had Marilyn Manson's autobiography in his office and things like that. So we and like I said, we've known them for years before we actually made it. Um, so Vince comes to us. He goes, "I got this idea. I want to do something so bizarre and crazy with the headbangers that is just totally off the wall." So he goes, "Have you ever seen Sally Fields in The Flying Nun?" And I'm going, "Oh shit. Yeah, 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 yeah." He goes, "That's what I want to do with you guys. I want to call you guys the Sisters of Love. We're going to do a TV show every Saturday night from a different bar in New York City. Since you guys live in South Jersey, you guys can just come up every single Sunday or Saturday night, do the show, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "I want to have the big giant headpieces on like Sally Fields did and everything else." And I wanted to go, "Oh my God, these guys are so crazy that they don't care what they wear. They just want to fight. They just want to get in the ring and beat somebody up and everything else." Well, that didn't last very long because we were supposed to do, um, I guess, a shotgun Saturday night down in Texas, and you're crossing over the Bible Belt, and, and you got these guys with piercings, tattoos, and makeup on, and all this other stuff, dressed as a nun. So it got written out really quick when the nuns got arrested in the Disney store in New York City. So yeah, it was all Vince's idea, and we just knew if it was Vince's idea, he would push it as much as he possibly wanted to.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
unfortunately, we got push in the, in the other way, and it wasn't there to do. So that's what happened. But still
Really,
undefeated,
yes.
undefeated. Sisters of Love, undefeated. Flying Nuns, whatever you want to call them, undefeated.
That's tremendous. Yeah, it's a real ahead of its time sort of deal. I touched on the fact that you're a former, in addition to NWA, WWF Tag Team Champions, and that win was that the pinnacle of your career, and if not, what would you characterize as same? And did holding the titles and that stamp of approval that the company had on you, did that change anything for you professionally or personally?
Oh, oh, 100%. When you win a title, that shows you that the company believes in you. It is a prop to elevate you in different ways, either with merchandising, with crowd acceptance. Um, so just for us to be considered for that, and we were shocked because we were actually slid into that match last minute because if
Mhm.
you guys remember, that's when it was Steve Austin and Dude Love were tag team champs, um, and that's when Steve broke his neck, so he was out, so he couldn't do anything. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean that 100 that and the WrestleManias that we were in, definitely the pinnacles. And it's so everybody was like, "Well, what was it like?" It's so hard to put into words, and the emotion that you get from, I mean, like WrestleMania, that's the Super Bowl of wrestling. You don't get any bigger than WrestleMania um, for an event for wrestling. So, the WrestleManias, winning the tag belts, even winning the NWA tag team belts from Ricky and Robert, a legendary tag team, was probably, the pinnacles of our career and stuff like that. And even though that we only had the belts for a short period of time, it was the fact that the company felt like we didn't need them anymore. We were already, at a I guess at a height of um, popularity I want to say it sounds so conceited, but
No.
um,
Mm,
they just didn't feel like we needed it anymore. So, which was, it was good and bad. I mean, would we like to have them longer? Of course, wouldn't. But the fact that we were even giving them to us in the first place was an honor.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It you know, tag team wrestling is an art, and a lot of old school fans really appreciate it and find some of the best moments in the business occur in the context of tag team wrestling. But it seems that the business has kind of moved away in a lot of ways from tag team wrestling, and that seems to me to be, I mean, you can understand some of the reasons behind it. So they say financially or whatnot. But in terms of tag team wrestling as a future entity moving forward, do you think there's room in the business again to harken back to featuring teams again, at least in the big companies? Because I know a lot of independents still do tag teams, fortunately, and all those great moments that you were a part of as a result of that.
So it's funny because when you think of tag team wrestling, I was kind of talked out of being a tag team by Larry Sharp, who was my trainer at the time. When I told him, "Hey, I want to, start a tag team with Chaz. We meshed really good together. We knew each other before training from our schools. We're sister schools, and we would wrestle against each other. So we knew of each other, just didn't know each other. Um, so Larry's like, listen, how many tag team matches are on one card? I said, maybe two. He's like, exactly. He goes, you're eliminating yourself from being booked by being a tag team because now you're paying two people to do one match. So this is why Vince has, or not Vince, WWE now has all these people under contract and they're doing nothing on TV. Why not put them together, call them a tag team, so at least you're getting something out of them? So I understand that part, but they'll never have the camaraderie, the togetherness, the that a real tag team has. I mean, you can always tell how long people have been together in a tag team because of how they. Yeah, I just always know what Chaz is going to do. I bet you if you ask Ricky and Robert, they know what each other are going to do constantly. Um, I think they're the only other active tag team that have been doing it longer than us,
Mhm,
to be honest,
mhm,
in the ring. Because
mhm,
Robert still goes every now and then. So
mhm,
do I think there's room in the future? 100%. There's always room in the future for it. It just has to find its niche. It just has to be right. You have to have the
mhm.
right people, the right place. I think fans still love it? 100%. A good tag team match telling a good story. There's nothing like it.
Absolutely agree. Here's a two-part question for you. One being a live fan question asking about the recent action figures that came out of the Headbangers, but also are you ever I don't want to say taken aback, but or surprised, but are you ever uh, does it strike you how much love there is for the Headbangers and so much nostalgia um, to your team and how the fans really during that time frame that you guys were on top, they really have such an affection for your work. Does that you must get that when you're going to shows and appearances? Does that ever what does that mean to you? I guess is the question.
I mean, it's 100%. It takes you back. It just gives you that because I was raised in this business that if it's fans first. It's always been that way for me. I've always taken my time to either talk to people on Facebook, whatever social media platform I find somebody on, I spend time, I talk. I like to talk. Um, I feel if it wasn't for the fans, there would be no superstars. No matter how much you want to try to make somebody a superstars, the fans make them superstars. They make movie stars. They make athletes that are stars. CeeDee Lamb and, Jalen Hurst, they're superstars because the fans are behind them because they're good and they appreciate what they do on the field and stuff like that. Fans make everybody. Fans made Taylor Swift. Fans made, they make everything. So for me personally, to not show them the respect for doing that would be wrong. I wasn't raised that way. I see like some, you know, other celebrities and stuff like that. They'll sign something that'll just go like this really quick. And I've seen it on Facebook. I'm sure you have going, hey, does anybody know who the signature is? If I ever had the opportunity when I was younger to give somebody my signature, I wanted them to be able to read it, remember it, and know who it was from. Um, every single time we do an event, we hear a different story. We did a signing somewhere, and we had a girl come up to us and say, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have came out. And she got into this story about how she was different than others and everything else. And, our way of thinking that as long as you're not hurting anybody, who cares what you wear, who you love, uh, you know, what music you listen to, who gives a shit what you're doing, as long as you're not hurting the person next to you or somebody else, who cares? It's your life, live it the way you want to do it. Um, so I think that really caught wind with everybody. That whole, why are you wearing a skirt? Because we can. Why are you wearing face makeup? Because we can. And it's not hurting anybody, so mind your business. So, when we hear stories like that, it takes us really, really back because we didn't know it back then. We're only finding this stuff out like that now because we're going around the circuits and stuff like that and doing, all the signings and stuff like that because, our time in the ring is limited. It's very, very limited. It's coming to a very fast halt very soon. Um, so, I always, when people thank me for my contribution in wrestling and stuff like that, I go, no, thank you for watching and making it personal, possible for me to, live this lifestyle or live this out.
Let's talk Finger Lakes Extreme Wrestling. We've got the namesake for yourself coming up quickly now on December 6th at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch. And fans, I say this, but it's a shoot. Get your tickets because, man, they are going fast at flexwrestling.com. You're going to be there. You're going to be in action. Can you talk about how you came to be on the show?
They just reached out to us and asked us. At first, it was going to be me and Chaz. We were both going to be there, but he has something, work related. He's into a lot of foundations and sponsorships and stuff like that. And he has an event that came up that day that's a very big sponsor for his company that he just can't miss. But I'm still going to be there. We're going to go out. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to make sure every single person in that Mud Creek arena is going to, who doesn't want to go to a wrestling in Mud Creek?
It's an awesome venue. It's an awesome venue. You'll love it. You'll love it.
It's going to be a great time. I'm going to be out there signing autographs. I'll have pictures for sale, shirts for sale. I'm going to bring some new action figures. So I'm going to get a couple of them pre-signed by Chaz, by Mosh. So you'll be able to purchase the new Mattel action figures. We have other things that I'm going to bring as well. So plenty of merchandise to pick from, pictures, autographs, you name it.
Yeah, and man, what a stacked show this is going to be. In addition to yourself, there will be a new or an inaugural Flex Heavyweight Champion crowned on December the 6th. Again, those tickets at flexwrestling.com. It's how important is it? And this is you're a prime person to answer this question. How important is it in the modern era that we're in now for fans and people to support independent wrestling. You no doubt are aware of the criticism, especially that WWE's getting about gouging the fans, if you will, or the huge overpricing. What's your philosophy on independent wrestling? Do you think with the state of the WWE that there's a real opportunity for great companies like Flex to thrive?
So I think for independent wrestling, it's huge now, for them to keep going, only because there's no territories left. Back in the day when I first started, you had Memphis, you had Tennessee, you had Texas, you had out west, you had all these places that guys could go and come up and things like that. So I guarantee you on that card on December 6th, you will see a future WWE superstar. So why
Agreed.
not see them so you can sit there? I remember seeing John Cena as the prototype out in California when he first started. And
Mm.
so, I mean, you're going to see tomorrow's superstars today. So it is essential that there's support for independent wrestlers, and wrestling. Um, I just think it's a great venue. It's up close and personal. I'll answer all questions. I don't care what they are. To meet some people and see guys that you might not be able to see before. I love the fact that the nostalgia still, enables us to come into these independent shows and stuff like that, because I love meeting the fans. I love talking to them. Like I said before, um, I love just meeting them and hearing their stories about when they saw us. It's funny. We went to Raw when the last time it was in Miami, and we saw New Day, and one of them came up to us and they said, "You guys were the only reason I wanted to become a tag team wrestler."
Wow.
And it was just the fact that he came up and he said that to us. It was just like, wow, I never knew that. Um, Never would have imagined. There's a lot of times, when we went back in 2016, the first person when we walked into the cafeteria that stood up and greeted us was John Cena. It was his house. It's his house. We were just guests there for a couple shows and things like that. And for him to come up and say, "Hey, guys, welcome home," was huge for us. It was if we felt accepted again. Um, so go out to your local independent shows, see tomorrow's stars today, and then you can sit there and go, "God, I remember when that guy was at, you know, so and so, and he was awesome then, and now look at him." I think that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I think that's something special.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thrasher, I know you are an extremely busy professional. You've got a lot on the go in terms of management and business, etc. So I'll finish with just this question as somebody who's been there, done that, very successful career. What advice would you give to, or do you give to some of the younger talents in the locker room that want to pick your brain about making it in this industry?
So nowadays, it's very, very difficult to speak to some independent wrestlers. And I'll say some. There's some guys that will listen, ask you to watch their match, give them critiques on it, and let them know, what they can do to improve. But then there's some people that are in independent wrestling now that just they don't want to listen. They don't, my thing for the guys today is to find a veteran, go up to him and say, "Hey man, watch my match, tell me what you think, tell me how I can get better." That's what we did. We went up to everybody. We had the likes of Shawn Michaels, coming up to us and saying, "Hey, when me and Marty did the Rockers, this is what we did to get the crowd behind us on the apron." Bret Hart and Owen Hart and Davey Boy, they would come up to us and they would tell us, hey, instead of doing this, do that. It's all about opening yourself up for criticism, good, bad, or indifferent, and taking that and understanding that is coming from somebody that cares, either for you or for the business. The biggest thing that I get, and I still can't stand to this day, is when people take the wrist and they go underneath of it and underneath of it and underneath of it and spin and spin and spin. And then you're going to have that little kid in the second row go home and grab his sister's arm and try to do that. And it's going to rip her arm out of socket. And it's just, to me, it's mind boggling to do something like that. I've always, in the 30 plus years that I've been doing this, I've never had anyone ever come up to and go, hey, I saw you throw a punch and you missed by this much. I don't miss. I punch everybody to an extent. There's a right way of doing it. It is, the young guys, they just need to open themselves up and just listen. Just listen to some of the veterans, ask questions, understand that, we've been there, we've done that. You might have, had.
Oh, I think Thrasher may have frozen. Unfortunate. Well, we will. Oh, you're back. Can you hear me?
There it is. Yes. There.
Perfect.
Okay.
You were just saying that you were encouraging the young people to.
There we go. I keep getting a phone call. My bad.
No problem. No problem. You were just saying that. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? No?
Hello?
Can you hear me? I can hear you. No, eh? You know what? Can you hear me? No? No. Okay. We'll see if Thrasher can come back, but sometimes that happens during the live stream. But fans, I want to just mention one more time what a loaded show this is going to be. December 6th, 2025 at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch. There will be a new Flex Heavyweight Champion crowned. You will see so much good stuff there, in addition to having the opportunity to interact and see Thrasher in action. It's going to be something that you don't want to miss. You're back. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. There.
Perfect. That happens. Don't sweat it. Just to finish your thought, you were saying that you're encouraging the young guys to take the opportunity to listen and come up and ask questions.
100%. If you see any veteran in the business, regardless of who it is, regardless of what they've done in the business, just go up and ask them. Hey, watch my match. Tell me what you think. Tell me, if there's anything I can do better or anything else like that. Even the smallest things make a difference. The other thing is I want to touch on the stage dive is the best damn tag team finisher ever. It's better than 3D. It's better than the Doomsday Device. It's better than any other tag team finisher out there. You know why? Because it takes the timing. It takes, people today are doing everybody else's tag team finishers except the stage dive. Why? Because they can't.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with you. Incredibly impressive move. Thrasher, I want to say thank you very much for coming on episode 3 of Headed to Headbangers Ball. Looking forward to meeting you in person and seeing you in action. Final thoughts before we go for the fans and those that are thinking about grabbing those tickets that they should quickly at flexwrestling.com.
All I can say is go grab those tickets. You won't be disappointed. I'm going to make sure you have a good time. Also,
Perfect.
if there's anybody out there looking for travel, or I have a travel company, it's called G&G Getaways. You can Facebook me on Facebook. I plan, getaways, me and my wife, cruises, trips, even if they want to go from England to the United States for a wrestling event, we can hook you up with stuff like that. Reach out, give us a call, Facebook us, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, depending on what platforms you're on, what are the social media contacts that they can find you at?
I'm on Facebook a lot, probably more than anything else. TikTok, I post on TikTok from time to time. Usually, my travel stuff and everything. But most of the time on Facebook, it's under just my first name, Glenn Roos. Um, you know, right now I think I'm pretty full. I think I'm at 5,000. I don't know if it goes over that now or I don't know. Um, I'm not on. I guess what is it, X or TikTok or
Former Twitter?
Twitter? That's what it is. TikTok or
Mhm.
Twitter all that much anymore. Um, But yeah, anytime that somebody reaches out, there is two Facebook ones. It's Headbanger Thrasher or Glenn Ruth. I'm more on Glenn Ruth than Headbanger Thrasher. Somebody was running that page, wasn't doing too good, and it just, it's out there, but I'm not on that much.
Well, thanks for your time, Thrasher. I again looking forward to seeing you in action December 6th at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch.
It's going to be a great time. I can't wait.
Well, fans, that's it for this special edition, episode 3 of Headed to Headbangers Ball with the namesake himself, the legendary Thrasher. Stay tuned for future episodes in this series next week, and go get your tickets at flexwrestling.com.
Right.
Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Heat Productions. Don't forget to hit the notification button and you won't miss any of our upcoming interviews,